Hello and welcome to the Colorado Rockies Franchise, where today we'll be going over the rules, the roster, and signing some free agents. So starting with the rules, we're going to have universal DH turned on. As most of you know, the DH is not in the NL this year, but going forward after this season there's going to be a collective bargaining agreement where the DH is almost a done deal. It's going to be universal, and this is the only chance we have to turn it on. So we'll have to deal with it for season number 1, but going forward for realism, it is the best to turn it on. Besides that, we're going to turn GM contracts off because this is a Colorado Rockies franchise. I do not want to get fired and have to switch teams. So those will be the rules for this franchise. I'm going to start things off by releasing Ian Desmond, who's on the last year of his long-term deal. He's owed $10.5 million if nobody claims him, but that's all right. He's opted out the last 2 seasons. We're not bringing him back, so we'll let him walk. We're also going to release a bunch of minor leaguers who I don't think have a chance at impacting this organization long-term, as the Rockies have to look to the long-term with really a terrible farm system. It's ranked 27th or 28th on every site you look. And their best prospect's the guy they just drafted last year in the first round in Zach Mean, which we'll get to the roster breakdown here. But we got to free up space for some interesting free agents that have a chance to make a tweak here and there, and they could be like Max Muncy or Justin Turner, where it'd be a huge impact. Like, we need that on this roster. So I'm going to keep releasing a couple of these guys. We got a couple more to go. I think, Alan Trejo is the second to last one here. On barely a minor league minimum pretty much, and so is Nate here. He's a little over minor league minimum, but yeah. We're going to start by signing Mark Zagunis, who has some position flexibility. He could play catcher if you really need him to. He's on a 2-year deal, but we can opt out of that second year if we don't want him. Now, Cole Sturgeon, he's a 4A type of player. He's pretty well-rounded. He's got some good discipline there, so if he doesn't help at the major league level, he's a good guy to have in the minors to help out the younger players grow. Max McDowell's some catcher depth we desperately need. We don't have any of that, so bring him in, and hopefully he ends up developing. Oliver Perez, we're probably not going to be very good, but if he ends up being good, we can trade him at the trade deadline for hopefully somebody who will help us down the line. And again, if he's bad, we can opt out of that second year. Kyle Ryan, he's a 4A type of pitcher, I think. If an injury happens, he can be all right. It's another cheap deal, not going to hurt us in the long term. Tyler Kolek, though, he's the kind of guy that with a tweak here or there, he could really develop into something. He's 25, which he's not like a prospect anymore, but hopefully he can develop in our minor league system. Rodolfo, same kind of thing. Change a thing here or there, and it could be a good major league relief pitcher. That's the hope with these kind of guys. We got to get some guys that have higher ceilings than what we had. Nolan Hoffman, he's a younger 22-year-old relief pitcher, and he's got some time to develop, so start him out in probably single A or double A and hope he develops. Ronald Trahern, he's really interesting. 21-year-old lefty out of South Dakota sitting out here, and I think he has major league potential. We're going to put him in probably double A to start and hope he develops. Edison Volquez, starting pitcher, but we're probably going to send him down to triple A to start things out. And if we really need him, he's some starting pitching depth. Now, Felix Hernandez, he's going to be in our rotation. He opted out of the Orioles minor league deal. He was signed to a contract and opted out of it with them, but we'll bring him in another deal that's not going to hurt us in the long term, and if he works out, another trade piece. So that's the hope with him. On to coaching staffs. We have Bud Black here, who's our manager. He's on the last year of his contract. He's actually the Rockies' all-time winningest manager by winning percentage with a 50.3. So if he has a good season, we could look to extend him if he wants to stay, but if not, then we'll probably want an entire new coaching staff for the most part. Luckily, a couple of these guys are on 1-year deals, including Adam Ylene, who we are actually going to fire and look to find somebody else on a 1-year deal. He doesn't really bring anything to the table that I wanted. We're going to bring in Rodrigo Milano here on a 1-year contract, because you want to keep their contracts around similar length, so that way you can bring in a cohesive staff together, and that's what we'll look to do here. These will be our scouts for the 2021 season. We got a bunch of well-rounded guys. Hopefully they'll bring in some better prospects than we've had in the past. Right now, we have the 27th or 28th ranked farm system according to most places you look. So these guys better find some guys for us and help us develop into a championship caliber team. All right, let's start this roster breakdown, starting with the pitching staff. In the majors, we have German Marquez, who's going to be our ace and opening day starter. He's still got 3 years left, including this year on his contract, coming off probably his second best year of his career. hopes to keep it going and produce. John Gray will be our number 2. He's on the final year of his contract, and we need him to really have a good year, and he needs to have a good year if he wants to stick around or get any sort of big contract. Austin Gomber was part of the Nolan Arenado trade. We really need him to be good, as right now he's our only lefty in the rotation. It'd be nice to get something out of that Nolan Arenado deal. Antonio Senzatella is coming off a career season for him. It doesn't really strike a ton of guys out, but that's all right as long as you get guys out, I guess that's fine. We got number 4, Felix Hernandez. If he's really good, we could trade him at the trade deadline if we're not good, and that's fine. If he's really that bad, we'll just decline his second year of his contract. That's all right. Not going to hurt us in the long term. Chichi Gonzalez will be our long reliever, which we don't want to see him pitch that much, but he's okay for a long reliever, I guess. Carlos Estevez. He's a hard-throwing righty at 6'6". Pretty interesting player. Hopefully he has a good season and can work his way towards a bigger role in our pen. Ben Bowden is actually our number 4 pitching prospect. Might not look like it, but he is. He is our only one of 2 lefties in our bullpen, with the other being the newly acquired Oliver Perez. We'll get to him. Ben Bowden, number 4 pitching prospect in our system. Really need him to pan out. Tyler Kindly, I mean, he's here. We'll say that. Don't know how long he'll be here. Robert Stevenson, failed prospect for the Reds. We got him, and looks like he has some decent stuff. Just needs to put it all together. Michael Gibbons was a player for the Orioles for a long time. Got traded last year to the Braves. Didn't really work out, and now is on a 1-year contract with us. Another trade piece at the deadline. Perez, the newly acquired Oliver Perez. Lefty's crafty lefty. If he's good enough again, we can trade him at the trade deadline. If not, then we'll just either keep him or decline him for his second year. Daniel Bard, he has a nice story. As you can see, the jump from 2013 to 2020, he was hurt. Not many people thought he'd come back. I don't even know if he thought he'd make it back, but he made it back. Had a pretty good year last year, and he's going to be our closer to begin the year. So that's the starting rotation and the bullpen for the majors. Back to Daniel Bard quick. He actually lost control as a pitcher and retired in 2017. But lucky for the Rockies and him, he regained control and was able to become a major leaguer again, which is pretty insane. But yeah, that's what his story was. Dom Nunez will be our starting catcher versus right-handed pitching. He did not play in 2020. He did not have a good year in 2019 as a hitter, but again, he's a catcher, so hopefully he's good defensively at least. Elias Diaz is going to start versus lefties. We're going to platoon at catcher. Not coming off the greatest season, but hopes to improve this year. He's only got 2 years left to control, including this year. At first base / DH, he's going to DH for us. CJ Cron is coming off a terrible year for Detroit. Really needs to have a bounce back year. It's only a $1 million contract, though, so again, not the end of the world. Garrett Hampson. I think he has potential to be a super utility guy, which we could use. You know, he's got some years of control left. He's got great speed. He doesn't really hit well at the majors, but that's all right. Hopefully he can start hitting now. He's going to start versus lefties at second base, and starting versus righties at second base, Brendan Rodgers. He's got tons of team control, but has not hit at the majors at all. He's the Rockies' former top prospect from a couple seasons ago. Really needs to start producing soon. Hopefully that's this year. Josh Fuentes will start at first base. He is Nolan Arenado's cousin, and he's coming off an all-right year, but he's 28 years old. He's still got years of team control left, so hopefully he can continue to play well for us. Moving on to Ryan McMahon at 26 years old. He's coming off a bad year last year, but was pretty good in 2019. We need him to take a jump forward from 2019 even, especially losing Nolan Arenado, because that's where he's going to be playing at third base. So hopefully he can get better. Trevor Story. Actually want you guys to comment below what you think we should do with him. He's a free agent at season's end, so we have 3 options. We extend the qualifying offer, which means that if he accepts it, then we'll pay him $19.2 million to play for us next year. If he declines it, then somebody signs him, we get draft pick compensation. Or we could trade him at the trade deadline, or we can extend him. Those are the 3 options. So I want you to comment down below what you think we should do with him. But obviously he's going to be our starting shortstop for at least this season, and we don't know after that. Chris Owings. He's a super utility guy, coming off a solid year last year. Hopefully he can play well again. Another $1 million contract, because the Rockies actually did not sign a single player the last 2 seasons to a guaranteed major league contract. Kind of insane. Sam Hillard will be a platoon outfielder. He did not have a good year in 2020, but was all right in 2019. He's going to start versus righties, and he's going to platoon actually with Jonathan Daza. So we got a couple platoons going at catcher, second base, and one spot in the outfield. Jonathan Daza, another one of these guys who's 27. He's got some team control, though. Let's move on to Tapia. Ronmil Tapia, we need him to produce even more, especially, again, losing Nolan Arenado. We need more people to step up. He had a good year last year. It's pretty good in 2019. He's on the same timeline as Ryan McMahon, though, free agent after 2023. So we'll see what he can do. Moving on to Charlie Blackmon. Charlie Blackmon has been great for us, but again, he's 34 years old. He has 3 years left at a pretty big number on his contract, so I don't know how many teams will be wanting to trade for him, if any. And I guess worst case, he can end up being a DH for us in his twilight years. That's fine. I guess now we'll get to the minor leaguers, starting with Derek Rodriguez, who was actually Pudge Rodriguez, the Hall of Fame catcher's son. He was with the Giants for a couple seasons. He was terrible in 2019 and not very good in 2020 either. Didn't really play. And he's in our farm system now. Hopes to make a comeback and make the majors again. Some more 4A type of players, though. Ryan Castellani, Antonio there as well. Edison Volquez. All these guys could come up if we really need them to start at the major league level. They're not going to be great probably, but they can at least, get you by. Brian Gonzalez, another kind of guy like that. But now we're moving on to some prospects. Ronald Traherne, we just signed. I think he's got some potential, but to be kind of like this guy, Ryan Rollison, who is actually our number 2 prospect overall and number 1 pitching prospect. Didn't have a minor league season last year, so hopefully he can have a good year this year. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to hold somebody down in the minors if they're not, a high overall. If he pitches well, I'll call him up. Peter Lambert, he had Tommy John surgery. He's going to be out for most of the year. And then we got some more bottom-of-the-barrel minor league guys here. Brandon Gold and Carl Kaufman, they'll have some potential, I guess. Scott Oberg, his career is actually in jeopardy. Hopefully, he's not going to play this year for us, but hopefully he comes back next year. I don't know exactly what to do with him. For now, he's going to be in single A because I can't put him on IL. Chris Russin, another lefty that we have down in the minors that we could call up. He's been around the Rockies for a while. He went to the Braves last year, but he's back. Julian Fernandez, the 6'6" fireballer. I expect him to come up at some point this year. I like what he's got. And same thing with Yency Almonte. He was good last year, but he's going to start the year in the minors. He'll probably be the first guy called up. Another 6'5" fireballer. Got a couple more guys like that. Moving on to Tyler Kolek, though, who is the guy we signed. I think he has some potential. He's going to start in Double-A. Kyle Ryan's going to also be in Double-A. He could jump straight to the majors, though, from Double-A. He's another 4A type of pitcher, like I said. Jordan Sheffield, who is actually the brother of the pitcher from the Mariners, that Sheffield brother. Rodolfo Martinez, who, again, has potential to be a solid major league relief pitcher. Actually, this guy right here, Olivares, is our number 2 pitching prospect, believe it or not. Rockies do not have very many good pitching prospects, so hopefully he can develop, I guess. Joe Harvey down here, who was the only guy they got at the trade deadline a couple years ago. He was not very good in 2020, or he was good in 2020, a small appearance, but not good before that at all. Heath Holder, he's a relief pitcher down in AAA. It'll be our closer, actually, Johan Ibar, and we'll move on to catchers. So here's one of our extra catchers we got down here, Jose Brencino, and he's going to be playing with Max McDowell down here. As you can see, though, we just don't have any catcher depth, which kind of concerning. Just not very many good catchers. So hopefully that's what Max McDowell can be for us. That's why we signed him. And I guess we'll have to move on. Matt Adams. He's a guy we signed to another minor league contract. He did not hit well in 2020, but I guess if we need an extra DH/first baseman kind of guy, he's one of the guys we can call up. He's got some power. Greg Bird, the Yankee legend, Greg Bird. 27 and injury prone, and don't know really what he's got left. We signed him to $1 million deal. I don't know if he's ever going to make the majors again, but he's there. If he gets well, we'll call him up. Actually, Michael Talia here is our number 3 overall prospect. Yeah, our number 3 overall prospect. And hopefully he can develop at least somewhat at first base. We actually have a couple decent first base prospects, but who knows? Who knows what will happen there? Taylor Motter is a good utility guy in the minor leagues. You know, if you have an injury or something, I guess he could come up. Played for the Mariners for a while. Carlos Herrera, 23-year-old. He can play some middle infield. He's okay. Brett Boswell, another super utility kind of guy. Gives you a left-handed bat as a utility guy, which is nice. Now, a prospect I like in the infield right here is Adale Amador, who he's 18. He's a switch hitter, which is nice. I think he's going to be a good player, but you got to give him time. It's going to be a while. Colton Welker. This is an interesting one. He actually suspended to 80 games, so I'm not going to put him in AAA until 80 games in. And yeah, I was expecting him to be up at some point this season in the majors, but who knows now. Guess we'll have to see what happens. Now, Aaron here is actually our number, let me get this right, 5 prospect, our number 5 prospect. Hopefully he can develop as well. He's 22. This is a guy that we got in the Nolan Arenado trade right here. He's another one of our top prospect, right behind Aaron there. I think he's in 7th, which I don't know how good he'll end up being, but we need some of these guys to be good from that Nolan Arenado trade. Connor Joe, another former Giant here, playing shortstop for us at AAA. Ryan Belade is actually our number 3 prospect overall. I'm hopeful for him. He's probably going to be a major leaguer at some point in this series. I think he's pretty good. Another utility man here who's going to be in AAA, and a couple guys to round it out here at shortstop in Mateo Gil and Jack Blomgren. Moving on to left field, Casey Golden here, who is 25, but I think he could play at the majors right now if he really needed to. Nick Longhi, same kind of thing. He's another guy okay, if you really needed him, we could. Jameson Hanna is our number 10 hitting prospect, I believe. Yeah, our number 10 hitting prospect. He's got good speed, he's a good fielder, but bat's all right. He's okay. He's 23, though. He needs to probably get called up really soon. Willie Abreu, another 24-year-old guy in the minors here. Move on. Cole Sturgeon, who we just signed. I think, again, a 4A player, but he could come up if you really need him. Manuel Melendez, 22. Don't really have high hopes for him. And same with Daniel Montano. I don't really see him being much, but he's there. We'll skip Zach Veen. Mark Zagunis, who we signed, I think, again, could have some utility here. Play the outfield, play some catcher. We can decline that second year if we don't really want him, but he's there. Nico Decolate. I've never even seen that name. I don't know anything about him, actually. Anthony Garcia, though, I do know a little bit about him. He's 27 years old. Former prospect, I believe, for the Brewers. He didn't pan out, and he's now with us. Zach Veen, who is our top prospect, was the first-round pick last year in the first round for us. Hopeful for him. So before I end it off, I just wanted to take a quick look at the new screen they put in the game here, the depth chart screen. As you can see, we're looking at this year's depth chart, and as we go forward, I mean, the roster doesn't look that good. You can see Zach Veen really doesn't grow too fast, but that's all right. Didn't want to rush him along, but yeah, our bullpen looks bad. So we really do need to get some better prospects and hopefully make some good trades, make some good draft picks, some good signings. This roster really needs quite a bit of work so far as it seems. So yeah, I just wanted to take a quick look at that screen. But yeah, next time we'll be taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers for opening day. So see you next time.